Alhamdulillah. Welcome back. We're moving on with our program. Alhamdulillah. Now we go into what's in the news today, and we see reports which indicate a significant fuel price hike for April, with petrol potentially rising by over 2 rand 70 cents, and diesel by 5 rand a liter, due to the conflict in the Middle East and the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, joining me on this discussion is Brother Ashref Ismail, the founder and chief facilitator of FleetMax DriiveSMART. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Maulana. And it's a pleasure to be with you and our viewers and listeners of Salam Media.
No, jazakumullah to yourself for being with us and helping us get through this very tight and really gut-wrenching situation right now for us to understand what it means for us, those who are drivers. Now, we've seen headlines today warning that South Africa could face actual fuel shortages, not just price hikes because of the escalating conflict in the Middle East. From your vantage point in the fleet and transport industry, how close are we to to a rationing scenario?
I think, if we look at it realistically, we know Donald Trump, the crazy man that he is. I don't think he's going to have the stomach to want to continue with this battle. He went into it thinking that it's going to be a short battle. He wanted it to be done and dusted within a week. Remember, he's fighting a proxy war on behalf of his handler, being Israel. And Israel obviously wanted to see Iran being flattened and sent a very stern message within a period of a week. Now, clearly, this could go one of two ways. One is you could see that before the end of the week also, we could have a ceasefire. The Iranians have already indicated that, listen, we will have a ceasefire, but on our terms. And it's not going to be as easy as just turning your back and walking away for Trump and Netanyahu. However, knowing his arrogance and his pride, we also know that Trump is not the type of person who's going to walk away and accept or concede defeat. He's going to probably want to show that we're coming out of this having won the war. Now, the whole thing is, at the end of the day, Molana, our big problem is that, when the elephants are fighting, the grass gets trampled. And people right down here at the bottom of the continent of Africa, and in fact, for the rest of the world, the issue of be a major, major challenge. It's not just in South Africa that we're going to see price hikes, but every country around the globe will definitely feel the ramifications and the consequence thereof. We've already been informed that come April, we're going to see an increase in the price of both diesel fuel and, of course, all the other types of paraffin fuel, jet fuel, etc. So all those types of fuels will be affected. Anything to do that is a byproduct or a byproduct of crude oil will definitely have a price increase. And of course, with it, we know very well, Molana, that if price of fuel goes up as high as it has been indicated, then the price of everything else, I mean, not to mention the issues of food, and then inflation will go up. And then, some of our nasty business people, when the fuel price comes down, the price of the goods or commodities that they've been selling doesn't necessarily come back down also. So yes, there will be people taking advantage of that situation as well, and we need to, as consumers, be aware of it. But definitely, as fleet companies, many of them are predicting this doomsday scenario, as it were. But we're hoping and praying that really for the lives of the innocent people around the Middle East as well, that this is a quick and a short battle, so that things can be normalized again, inshallah.
Inshallah, most definitely. And I mean, we all understand that very well, the power play which is at hand at the moment, but still, it doesn't really excuse or delay the effect that we are going to feel here, like you mentioned, in the utmost south point of Africa. And now, looking at that also in terms of the price shock which is going to take place, and as you have mentioned, it does demonstrate a very big issue in terms of local goods prices going up, and the inflation which is going to hit, and this also going to create that vacuum between, like we know in South Africa, our economic situation is not really a very favorable one. Where you have a very small percentage of people who are actually really earning just above their minimum wage line. So, what does this then mean for those people who are actually not really earning much, and how are they then supposed to survive in if this now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid if it does take about a week or two more than what is there's actually been taking place at the moment?
And you see, the other thing is we must also remember, Molana, inshallah, let's assume that by next week, this time or before Eid, inshallah, at the latest, there is a ceasefire and it's a lasting ceasefire. The ramifications of the damage that has been caused by the bombs that has exploded around that area, because Israeli artillery has damaged a lot of refineries in Iran. They claim that no, that was because they were using the fuel from those refineries to fuel their armaments and the army vehicles, etc. So they deliberately destroyed those refineries. Now it's a frightening prospect to consider that if there's a ceasefire basically announced today, it doesn't mean that the refineries will be going back to normal tomorrow. It will probably take months, if not, let's say a quarter or 3 months or so to fix all the damages, to repair all the damages, to get the pipeline all back in order again, and to normalize the whole situation. So clearly, by the time we get to the situation where the fuel price is
Subhanallah. I think Brother Ashraf just got a call there, which really disturbed the connection. So, inshallah, while we're still trying to get him, let's go quick for a break, inshallah ta'ala. Then, when we return, we'll go deep into the discussion with him. I think this is a very gut wrenching discussion that everyone wants to really know and find solutions to it until the time permits, inshallah ta'ala. Yeah, so let's go for a break and we'll be back, inshallah ta'ala.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
With Ashraful Aid this Ramadan, your zakat changes lives. It feeds families facing hunger, restores dignity to those in need, and brings hope where it is needed most. From food relief to essential support, your zakah reaches communities with care, transparency, and impact. Give with confidence, give with trust. Make your zakah count this Ramadan. Give your zakah to Ashraful Aid and help change lives today.
This Ramadan, please consider donating to the Islamic Dawah movement. For over 45 years, IDM has built over 80 masjids and distributed more than 160,000 Qurans in 8 local languages. IDM has installed over 250 boreholes and water wells. Over 1,000 children are fed daily, building strong Muslim communities in disadvantaged areas.
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any access or
Accessory.
any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala rasulillah. If you're just joining us right now, we are discussing the projected fuel price hike, which is going to take place in the month of April due to the Middle East conflict. And with us is Brother Ashref Ismail of FleetMax, DriiveSMART. Brother Ashref, before we went, the network disturbance, you were just taking us through in terms of what it means now for the person who's not really earning that much in this really staggering situation that we're facing at the moment.
Gee, Malana, this is the frightening prospect. Bear in mind that as it is in South Africa, our state of economy is very, very poor. Post-COVID-19, many of the countries around the globe have begun to see a positive trajectory. Sadly, in South Africa, that's not the case. And that's a discussion, obviously, for another day. Suffice to say that the gap between the haves and the have-nots in South Africa is massive. It's absolutely massive. If you consider the amount of people that are unemployed versus the people who are also, you'll find in one household, maybe one person who's employed, and that one person is basically feeding up to maybe 6 to 10 people, cousins, nephews, etc., because the situation is so bad. You can well imagine what price increases, inflation going up, cost of basic food stuff. We're not talking about luxuries. We're talking about staple foods, bread, rice, milk, maize meal, cooking oil, etc. What that would cost, the impact that would have on the poorest of the poor. Needless to say, obviously, crime will go up. We'll see a huge escalation because we know that there's crime for greed and there's crime for need. People who are needy are just trying to survive from day to day. And of course, the more well-off amongst us, the people who can afford it, would be able to absorb, but they too will have to make some adjustments to their lifestyle. I can't see a situation where even the wealthy are going to continue enjoying all the privileges without feeling the pinch as well. Remember, air travel will be curtailed as well. It will be extremely expensive. Anything that runs on fuel, which is literally everything, manufacturing, transport, you name it, agriculture, mining, etc., everything's cost is going to go up. Hence, I say, unfortunately, you cannot divorce the geopolitical nature of this. And, you begin to think, when you have crazy lunatics running the world, especially if you have them, at the helm of what is supposed to be the world's most powerful nations, these people have to understand that there are ramifications. These ramifications are going to be affecting everybody in what we call the global south, as well as in the Western countries as well. And the sad thing is, Malana, and I'm sure we're moving away from our original topic, but the sad thing is that in the entire United Nations, which was created to avoid exactly this kind of conflict, the voices are just muted. There's nobody raising a voice. There's nobody objecting to what's happening. There's nobody calling for sanity in this crazy situation. It's just gone silent. And sadly, we're all going to definitely feel the pinch.
Subhanallah. And I mean, this is exactly what it means when you talk about the political double standards in the world politics. I mean, we saw the same issue happening when South Africa took the apartheid regime of Israel to the ICJ, and most of the countries who were supposed to be standing for peace were quiet and silent to a point that South Africa now became as though the black sheep in the family, because they raised these issues and were looked at like we are whistleblowers. But yet again, we know these are geopolitical situations that we are facing, unfortunately. Now, coming back into our topic here, we looking now at the DriiveSMART philosophy. We see that you've long advocated for DriiveSMART techniques. If someone then is used to spending about 1,000 rand a week on fuel, and that suddenly now buys only 20% of the volume that they were originally, catering for. What are then the top three immediate changes a driver can make today to stretch that tank further?
Malana, instead of top three, I'm going to probably rattle off at least 10 things that you can do. And what I would say is there are three legs to this whole thing about saving fuel, right? The first one falls under what we call smarter driving habits. The other is what we call strategic trip planning. Plan your trips in such a way. Do you really have to make 5 trips every day, going to fetch the children, dropping them off, going for madrasa, fetching them, going to the library, etc.? We're going to have to plan our ways. We're going to have lift clubs. We're going to have to look at how we can combine some of the trips into one instead of just going up and down. And consistent vehicle maintenance makes the third leg. So when you talk about smarter driving habits, Malana, simple things. You can have 2 persons, and we've done this on many of our advanced defensive driving skills courses, where you have exactly the same little vehicle. We'll have a Nissan NP200 Bakkie, and we'll get a guy with a heavy foot. He drives it around exactly the same distance and the same block. And then we have somebody else with a lighter foot, a more different approach to driving. You'll see the one person uses almost 0.5 liters per 100 kilometers more than the other person. So your driving style, the way you drive, the way you take corners, no harsh acceleration, no harsh braking, no harsh cornering, all of these things that are harsh will have to change now, because the days of over revving and people blowing, spinning tires and all those things, it's going to have to come to an end. We need to make sure we maintain moderate speeds. Plan your journey, plan your trips, plan your stopping also. If you can see the traffic light ahead of you is red, slow down, decelerate, be smart, and before you come to a complete stop, wait till a light turns green, observe both right and left, and then into second or third gear and gently accelerate away from it. So the whole idea is we're going to have to learn to be gentle in order to save fuel. Many of the vehicles have econometers. They will show you how much fuel you're using. They have trip computers. They have those little bar graphs there that show you the more you accelerate, the more fuel you're using. If you can keep your accelerator at around 5 liters per 100 kilometer mark, that means you are driving optimally, you are driving economically. Make sure you remain in the high gears as soon as possible. First gear, second gear are the heavy gears, and then third, fourth, and fifth, especially fifth gear. Of course, you don't want to belabor the engine also. You can't be tootling around in an 80 kilometer zone in fifth gear, knowing full well you are now straining the motor. So all you do is match the speed. Make sure the rev counter sits nicely between 2,500 revs. You know you're not burning unnecessary fuel. Minimize idling. We've seen many a times parents are waiting for children, picking them up from school, madrasa, and the car is idling unnecessarily. You are using fuel. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, anticipate traffic as well. Plan your trips. Don't get to a point where you have to brake harshly, change down, and then the more changes you have, the more problematic it is. The other thing is, Maulana, vehicle maintenance. Before you even get behind a vehicle, make sure you have removed any unnecessary weight in the vehicle. And if you're carrying an unnecessary roof rack, please remove it. I've seen cars with that, what I call the upside down coffin, there is nothing in there, but people just drive around with it because it's a smart thing to do. The fact of the matter is that thing adds to the aerodynamics of the vehicle. It creates more, it uses more fuel. Let's get that out of the way. Check your tire pressure. If you're not sure about it, 2.3, 2.5. If you are carrying a weight, if not, maybe two bars are fine. If you're not sure, check the vehicle, the handling, the manual, the owner's manual, and it will tell you the recommended air pressure you should put on your tires. Your tires should not be overinflated, should not be underinflated. Underinflated tires, they run hot and they can also cause a blowout, which is another problem. Lighten the load. Like I said, no unnecessary heavy toolboxes. Unless you're thinking of changing the gearbox on the side of the road, there is no need to take all the spanners from size 5 right up to size 22 in the boot of the car. Just take your basics, the basics that you need in case of an emergency. and manage the air conditioning, right? Air conditioning does use more fuel, however, not as badly as it used to in the past. Today, the thinking is that if you have to compare leaving your windows open at any speed above 60 kilometers per hour, the aerodynamics that is caused as a result of the open window is worse than having the aircon on. So if your speed is above 60 kilometers per hour, it is better you rather leave the aircon on. And of course, from a safety point of view also, today you can't drive with your windows rolled down. So manage that carefully as well. Very important, regular servicing. Make sure your vehicle is serviced regularly. Oil changes, etc., must be done. And of course, a car that is ticking on a vehicle that is well serviced is obviously going to tick over easily, and it's going to save you fuel as well. And like I said, trip planning, very, very important, Malana. We've got to start planning our days. If mom and dad are going to shop, they must make one trip so that they can pick the kids up from the soccer, from the library, from other errands, do the shopping, do the school. I think we're going to have to look at lift clubs and get into a situation whereby we can seriously consider. If you've been driving a big car, you're driving a 2 liter, 3 liter turbocharged, this turbocharged, that. Alhamdulillah, well done if you can afford to carry on with it. But the rest of us, I'm afraid we're going to have to look at 1.3s, 1.5s. And I tell you, if you look at the kind of consumption they give you, I went to Durban, Richards Bay last week in a Suzuki Grand Vitara, Alhamdulillah. I must tell you, my consumption at one point was 20 kilometers per liter, Molana. 20 kilometers per liter. It's not the fastest thing on the road. Alhamdulillah, I must tell you that. Sometimes, you have to kick the thing's backside to make it move a little faster. But when you come to the pumps, wallahi, one tank from Pretoria, Lodium, all the way to Durban, and there was about maybe 5 liters left before the reserve light came on in Durban. So again, think wisely when you're buying a car. Like I said, this is not something we're going to just come out of. It's not like, bear it for a month or so. Trust me, I don't want to sound like the prophet of doom and gloom, but normalizing this whole situation is going to take us time.
Subhanallah. And this again, I think it's a wake up call also for us to look at some lifestyle changes as well. Like you just mentioned in terms of the fuel consumption of our cars, and for those who are now in the market looking to buy cars, I think these are steps that they need to start implementing. It's funny that you mentioned that they call it the Tule box, which is on the roofs, and I always had the same concept in my mind but this is just adding the load, which is actually going to cause more in terms of fuel consumption of the car. Now, there's many other steps that people can obviously take. Just this afternoon, a friend of mine was commenting and made a joke and said that, you know what, I think it's time that we should look at buying bicycles. And I mean, why not? If it be,
electric vehicles, Manana. I think the Chinese have been heading up the electric vehicle scene, and I think they probably foresaw these type of things. And clearly, people who are driving hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles will obviously be smiling all the way. So maybe there's something for us to really think about. I think that the move to, there's a lot of people who have been sitting on the fence when it came to electric vehicles. The whole issue was that the capital cost of buying an electric vehicle vis-a-vis a internal combustion engine, it works out half a dozen of one, six of the other. It's so expensive that by the time you see this savings in fuel consumption, it works out to the same. But now it's not a question of just saving. I hope we don't get to a point where pumps are dry, because that's another issue, Molana. It's one thing to have pumps that are pumping, but you are paying 2 to 5 rand more per liter. The problem is, what if pumps start running dry? Because that means you can't get to work, you can't get to school, you can't get home. That's another issue, because now it then brings us to the 1973 stage where we had for fuel rationing and all those kind of things. So may Allah Ta'ala protect us all from all these type of what I call doomsday scenarios. But we need to plan with all kinds of scenarios in mind.
No, 100%. I mean, the hadith says that la akhlaq at-tadbir, that there's no intelligence except for planning ahead. We obviously not wishing for the doomsday type of situation to happen, whereby people will be going back into that mood of 2020 in the COVID situation of bulk buying and going crazy and havoc. But we're just saying that in order for us to have a sense of ease, we need to plan ahead. And like you said, actually, my next question was regarding now the electric cars, electric vehicles, if those are or viable buys in the foreseeable future for South Africans. But obviously we still have that other discussion, which will be the ESCOM issue and how what to call it
and the infrastructure also, Malana. We don't have that many charges yet. Many of the malls, I saw on the route going down to Durban, Harrismith has some charges as well. And the good thing is that all these charges are universal fitting. So alhamdulillah, you don't get to a point where a Land Rover's got only one type of a nozzle. And then if you come there with your BMW or an Audi, it's a different type of nozzle. The nozzles are all the same for these electric vehicles. So that's a big plus. We got at least some kind of standardization and uniformity around that. But again, there is not enough of them. There's not plenty of them. But again, maybe this is a little wake-up call for the rest of the globe to say, let's start looking at alternative energy sources. At some point, I do believe we will run out of the fossil fuel. What is our plan going forward? I know even the Arabs are thinking about it. If you look at Saudi Arabia and all those Gulf states, the reason why they are investing so much in tourism, for instance, is simply because they know that time will come when the black gold is going to come to an end. Well, how then do we sustain our lifestyle? How then do we sustain our economies? So I think at our levels here, we should start seriously considering. There are brands that are bringing in light, smaller, cheaper electric vehicles, like your BYD, for instance. They've got that Dolphin, they've got a BYD. I'm not sure what that other small one is, but they're still a bit pricey. Everything is about economies of scale, Malana. If you get the production numbers up, and the Chinese are very good at doing that, because you will see the exporting of Chinese electric vehicles is going to really balloon. Those people who have been sitting, worrying, being very, very skeptical about this new technology are definitely going to embrace it after this episode. I'm almost sure about that.
No, most definitely. And I think, again, this is a wake-up call for us, and we need to really make smarter moves, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakumullah khair once again, Brother Ashref. It was really, I can say, thought-provoking at the same time, but also very informative for us to realize what is at stake for us at the moment, and to know that actually the comfort zone can actually be shaken. And this is one of those situations that can happen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us, and we make dua
Ameen.
that conflict does end with actually positive resolutions, inshallah ta'ala, and that we get to see better days, inshallah ta'ala. Once again, jazakallah from us here at Salam Media, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you in this beautiful month of Ramadan, inshallah. Ameen.
Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, that is Brother Ashref Ismail, alhamdulillah, of FleetMax, mashallah, DriiveSMART, with his points also in terms of how we can actually be smart drivers and have a lifestyle change and different ways that we can actually save on fuel, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll be taking a break, and inshallah after the break will be our spiritual hour. And tonight we're looking at the tafsir of Paran 18, inshallah ta'ala. And I know it is the 21st night, but this is just for us looking back at the points which we might have missed and how we can benefit from that, inshallah ta'ala.